relationships, trauma, philosophy. Relationships, trauma, philosophy.
Welcome to the greatest podcast ever.
Welcome.
To the Yalla Habibi podcast. Episode 66.
Episode 66.
That was good. What is it? A Swiftie song?
No, actually, but I suppose it could be. I don't know about mix, but I'm feeling 66. I don't know.
No, she's coming out of a new album, isn't she?
She is. How exciting, yeah. In just a few days, less than a week. In fact, just a couple of days after this podcast goes live.
How exciting for all the Swifties.
Very exciting for all the Swifties.
I don't care.
Do you care from a point of view that I care then?
I do
You've even
care.
offered to listen to the album with me.
I have. We'll have a listening party. We'll play it. And we've even found a Swiftie run, haven't we?
We have, yes. Actually, I'm keen to sign up for that. So it's a Taylor Swift. It's called Swiftathon, which I think's actually not a great name because it's not a marathon. It's a 5K or a 10K, or you can actually do 1 mile as well, which is quite inclusive, and I like that. But yeah, in London for Taylor Swift's birthday. We weren't going to talk about this, was it?
Well, standard for us. But yeah, we might go. I wish it was a marathon, though. I'd be more inclined. But
you could do the 10K a bunch of times and beat everybody.
That's what I'll do then. But, wow, we've got a lot to update you on. That is a bit crazy.
It's going to be a bit of a wild episode, really.
It is. But before we get to the wildness, what do we want to talk about, my darling?
We want to talk about a recent trip that we went on to Ninh Binh near Hanoi. Well, it's not that near Hanoi, but in that area of Vietnam.
Yeah, Ninh Binh. So we're in Vietnam, as you know, at the moment, and there's a lot of excursions you could do. There's a lot of things you could go see, but we would highly recommend the Ninh Binh tour. There's a bazillion tour companies that'll take you. But why we recommend it is just for there's a couple of cool things, but there's one specific thing that is just well worth it. It's like a canoe, but it's wooden, and you feel like you're going to sink at any point.
Yeah, pergola.
A pergola, well done.
I think.
No, they're actually pretty secure. But pergola, and then you have a lovely local woman who rode us for 2 hours in the blistering heat.
Without taking a break, and in like the biggest jacket ever. Like, something really cool about the jackets that they were wearing is they had like fans attached to them, didn't they? But like, she was full on covered in what looked like a bomber jacket.
Yeah, I'd say that's what I found interesting about Vietnam is it seems like the locals' approach to sun rays isn't sun cream. Instead, they just cover the whole body with like long t-shirts, or if you're on the moped, usually it's this. It's almost like a full nightie, like a full gown. It covers everything.
It looks a bit like a cotton burqa almost, doesn't it? Like
yeah, it does. Yeah,
that's full covering.
Really common. Pretty much everyone's in it. So, which I guess that is safer for your skin, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
But I find that interesting. No one seems to use sun cream; they just cover it instead. But for us, we just think that feel rank, so we go down. But I hate sun cream, so I find it very. What's the word? Overstimulating. Find it very. The feeling on my skin. It just grinds me. I can't stop thinking about it. But eventually, you kind of just accept it, and it's okay. And for me, I can accept sun cream more than having like a long shirt on and some long trousers and just be sweltering all day. I'd rather be in shorts and a short shirt or something.
Yeah, definitely, it's more comfortable.
But yeah, Ninh Binh. If you've seen Kong Island. Not the original King Kong, but Kong Island, one of the newer ones. That's actually where they filmed it.
It's real. Like, the scenery is so beautiful. Like, all these little. I mean, what would you even call them? It's not an island, is it? What is it?
It's almost like a big rock face, but we're talking a big, big rock face, but not something you would go on and stand on or climb. It's like a big rock face, and then it's got mangroves all over it. Like, it's all vegetation. So it looks stunning. You're working away through this calm, was it a lake or a sea? Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, I'd say lake, I think, maybe.
If it's a lake, I don't know. It might be the sea. Is it? I don't know. fact check us on that. But anyway, you go between all these big rock faces that are just covered in all this bush, and you hear all different birds, wildlife. You go through something like 10 caves where you actually, you glide through them on the boat.
That was my favorite bit. That was incredible to go through the caves and like how they managed to navigate them as well, like such small spaces. And when you're going through them, you end up kind of like toe to tail with the boats in front and behind. And it's like, like on a log flume when you're waiting to go up for the big drop. It just reminded me of that.
Yeah, even the start point, wasn't it? It felt like we were going to go on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. The queue system was the same, the way they rope it off, as if you're queuing for a ride in a Disney park. It was just like that. And there are just, I want to say even like 1,000. But hundreds and hundreds of these boats.
Mm.
And at any one time, there's like 30 coming in, everyone jumps on, and then there's 30 go off, and then another 30 will come in, another load of people jump on, 30 go. Like, it's just constant.
Yeah.
It's constant. It's pretty wild. But it's stunning. Like, yes, it's a bit touristy, but honestly, I would still recommend it.
100%. Like, I think that tour that we did was great because we had those boats, and that was by far the best bit of the day. But like, we got to ride bikes around, and we got to go and see temples as well. It was just a wonderful all-in tour. But an interesting thing when we were booking it about the bike section of it.
Oh, yes.
Scott was reading through like the T's and C's and like the order of the day, and he just burst out laughing. Like, what's so funny about the tour? And what did it say?
So it was saying there's a 30-minute cycling part that we did, and it's saying you can do this or don't. And for one of the reasons why it said they wouldn't recommend if you are disabled or too fat, then we do not recommend you to cycle. It just said that clear as day on Viator. Obviously the translation, or maybe it was just the right translation. They're just a bit more up front. So yeah, I had a good laugh at that because I just found it hilarious how direct it was. But yeah, it's funny. Things translate quite funny and direct, don't they?
They do, like such as the signs everywhere on the roads, and it's a It is a trumpet. I promise, it is a trumpet on the sign.
The image is a trumpet, yeah.
So it's just like a white sign with a red circle around it, like typical sign that you'd see like with the speed limit in it, except it's got a trumpet and then a line through it. And I was thinking, Scott's like, no trumpets. I wonder why they don't allow trumpets. But Scott quickly explained to me that it actually just means you're not allowed to toot your horn in that area of the road.
Yeah, no tooting pollution.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a bit strange, but I picked that up quickly because having done a lot of runs here now against the roads and just being honked at all day, I know it's probably that, because there's so much noise pollution with just how many things they honk at. I mean, they honk just if they're passing you. I mean, it's safe, but it's just for people just walking about. It's like heavy noise pollution, and again, we get a bit overstimulated by noise and loud noise. So that constant horns and the trucks, the horns are so loud. Like we've jumped out our skin.
Physically, like jumped a couple of feet in the air.
Quite a few times jumped out our skin because it's just this booming horn. Fucking hell. Like, you just don't anticipate it. So, yeah, that's why I saw stuff go, yeah, I bet it's for the noise. But yeah, definitely do Nimbin. Honestly, we've traveled like 15 plus countries together, but separately we've traveled to like 40 plus countries each. And that is going to go down in my top 5 most beautiful things I've seen.
Yeah, I agree. It was, for me, one of my favorite experiences that we've done.
Yeah, it was stunning. But on to the wild part of the episode.
Yes.
Quite a dangerous part of the episode, and something that very real happened to us.
Yes. We are no longer in Hanoi. We are in a place called Da Nang, because basically we were chilling in Hoi An and we realised that there was a big storm coming, a typhoon, in fact. Typhoon Ragasa.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Watching it quite closely, it really caused devastation in the Philippines and Hong Kong as well. And like traveling through the South China Sea, and we knew it was coming towards us, but then it just seemed like that it tapered off. Okay, cool. Like we can relax. It's not cool. Obviously it's awful, the devastation it's caused, but regarding our immediate safety, we should be fine. But then we started hearing about this different storm Bualoi.
Yeah, it's the hardest name.
Bualoi. Yeah,
I've even got it
Bualoi.
in front of me and I can't say it. But
I'm
yeah.
going to go with Bualoi, which seemed bigger and badder. So yeah, that's something that we knew was imminently coming towards our front door.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy because both of these typhoons were very strong, and I'll actually give you some details so you can know the level of impact they had and, the strength against the sort of rating system. Ragasa was classed as the world's strongest typhoon in 2025. So it's pretty strong. So in 2025, that is now currently the world's strongest typhoon of 2025, which we've experienced. So Typhoon Ragasa, which came first, so Vietnam has a much larger rating than the American system. So Vietnam has a rating from 1 to 18, which basically depicts the wind speed. Let me just give you, I do want to break down the rating system so it makes it easy for everyone to understand. I also think it's quite interesting. And I'll tell you the US equivalent, because US has 1 to 5. Is what probably most people know. So Vietnam's rating of a 6 to 9 is classed as a tropical storm. That's heavy rain. And from a US equivalent, that doesn't even get to the level 1, actually. That's just classed as a general tropical storm. So that isn't even on the rating scale of the US system yet. Things that would happen at this level would be heavy rain, small boats capsizing, weak roofs at risk. So just a strong tropical rain, could be up to 73 miles an hour. A rating of 10 to 11, that's a strong storm. And this is where we get into the category 1 hurricane for US. By the way, side note, a hurricane, a typhoon, and a cyclone are all the same thing. So I want to make that clear. Even though they have 3 different names, they're the exact same thing. It's just they happen in different parts of the world, but it's the same things. They're just different names. So yeah, a rating of 10 to 11 is category 1 hurricane. So that's where you're going to start getting broken branches, damage to weaker houses, potential power cuts. A rating of a 12 to 15 is a very strong typhoon, classed as a category 2 to 3 in the US system. Roofs are going to be torn off, widespread flooding, landslides, major disruption. We're getting up to 96 to 129 miles an hour wind. Then finally, a level 16 to 18 typhoon. This is a super typhoon, which would be a category 4 to category 5 in the US. And this is the most catastrophic. Buildings will collapse, storm surge, this is the biggest devastation. This is where even hotels are gonna be crushed. It's gonna be severe flooding. Power is gonna go out. It's gonna be as bad as it gets, and that can get up to we're talking even up to 157, 160 miles an hour winds. So I just like to detail it out. We also have a risk level of damage, which is 1 to 5 in Vietnam. 1 being low risk, then moderate, high, very high disaster alert. So just to give you an idea of Ragasa actually, it peaked at 17, which would be a category 5 on US scale.
Jeez.
So that is the highest that you can get. So it peaked at 17, which would have been, if that hit Vietnam at 17, that would have been the biggest devastation possible a typhoon could create. It would have absolutely obliterated whatever it hit. But what's also interesting about typhoons, hurricanes, cyclones, all the same thing. They're a tropical storm that will start out at sea, and when it comes inland, it tends to weaken. That's why they don't usually get too far inland, because I don't fully understand the science, but they need the sea to sort of maintain their strength. So it did, luckily, weakened by quite some. And actually, once it hit near Vietnam, it actually got down to a 7 to a 9, which is just classed as a tropical storm, or tropical depression is a different name for it. So still can be damaging, can flood, and it did flood, Old Town, we saw it, didn't we?
Yeah, horrendously. Yeah.
We saw flooding, so it did still flood, but it just less of impact. But in other countries, like the Philippines, it hit the Philippines and Taiwan a much higher rating. So when it hits the Philippines and Taiwan, it was more, I think it was between 15 and 17 at that point. And Philippines right now on record has 58 plus deaths.
That's so sad.
Millions displaced, massive flooding. Taiwan, last time I checked, 14 were dead. Hong Kong and southern China also saw mass evacuations and power outages and transport chaos because it was much stronger once it hit them. It weakened a bit more to Vietnam. So we were, keeping an eye on that one. And then, like Shelby said, literally 2 days later, came right behind it was Storm.
Bualoi.
Thank you, Susie. And that actually, out at sea, that was a level 15. Which again, if we go back to our rating system, would be a very strong typhoon and can tear off roofs, widespread flooding, landslides, major disruption. And that actually did come down a bit, but it actually was higher than the Ragasa. It came down to a 12. So that is still classed as a very strong typhoon, which would be about probably a category 2 for the US system. So still very strong. And that's the one that came and hit us. So pretty crazy. So yeah, I think the risk level was classed as a 4. So, and again, with that one, specifically in Vietnam, there were 12 dead and currently 17 missing. And thousands of homes have been damaged, farmland, power cuts, Hanoi airport was being closed for a few days. In Philippines, this storm killed 23 people, 200,000 people evacuated. So a lot of damage in the space of about 6 days.
Yeah, really, really awful. And it's scary because it's not something that we experience in the UK. I've experienced a hurricane in Florida, and I think that was a category 4, Hurricane Matthew. I was working in Florida at the time, and it was one of a handful of times that Disney's ever had to shut its doors. We got sent home from work that day, and then it was closed the next day. So I've got a little bit of prior knowledge of what it's like to be in a hurricane or tropical storm or typhoon, I guess. But it's very scary. It's super scary.
Well, it was because in true fashion, Shelby found out about it and I didn't have a clue about it. That is just how it goes down because, as you all know, I don't check any news. I don't watch news. I don't keep up to date with that stuff. So I will be out the loop. But I hope Shelby will concur once I know there is something imminent that is going to be of danger to us. Scott gets into action.
Scott gets straight into action. So I actually found out about it because I don't watch the news, but I'm on social media frequently. So that's how I sent it. But I was on YouTube and it popped up as a live alert almost. It's obviously not in my algorithm, but it just popped up with this storm. I was like, oh, what's this? And I was like, oh, have you seen this, Scott? And then I told him and he looked, it was like, all right. And about an hour later, he came to me with lots of information about it. I kind of moved on from it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a bit of a worry. Let's keep an eye on it. But then, an hour later, Scott's like, right, this is this and that's that.
Once I know there's a threat, then I'm going to, deal with it seriously.
Yeah.
And that was the same for Jordan. If you've been around listening to our episodes, we faced missile strikes in Jordan. When Iran and Israel were firing at each other, we were under... we were only 2 hours from the capital of Israel. So we were, missiles were flying over our head. Again, I didn't have a clue about this. Shelby knew about it. And then we got into action and we actually managed to get out within 48 hours. We got out of the country.
I think even less so. Yeah, we knew on the Friday and left on the Saturday. Wild. But so we made the decision to leave we were in an apartment in Hoi An. And it was it's a lovely apartment, very nice, totally surrounded by glass. So we thought, let's maybe make a move into the city, into Da Nang, which is the closest big city, just because of the infrastructure, knowing that probably more geared up for dealing with this kind of thing and also evacuating if it did come to that. We want to be proactive and not reactive to things. We'd rather be super, super safe than like regret not leaving. So we did extensive research on hotels in Da Nang, and we settled on a really nice one, and it feels very safe.
AI saved our life.
But I'm going that far.
That's what the title's going to be.
What is it?
I'm going to have 2 titles. AI saved our life, and we survived the world's strongest typhoon.
Yeah.
Clickbait central. I've already backed up the first one. Let me back up the second one. The second one is because when we were, wanting to look for a more secure base, it wasn't as easy to just get away from the storm, because the storm could change at any point. The direction could change at any point. It can come pretty far inland. We had to accept that there is a likeliness where it could just come straight at us. So instead of just choosing somewhere further away from the coast, we need to choose somewhere that is actually going to be ready if we get hit.
Yeah.
Because unless we take a flight out right now, there's a high chance we're going to get hit. So like you mentioned, Hoi An, we were literally less than 5 minutes from the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's all low land. That is just flood central.
Yeah.
And the river there is regularly breaks its banks, which floods. So it's just flood central. So yeah, that's why Da Nang was a great choice. But I reviewed for about an hour and a half through ChatGPT. Again, this is what we did. We're not experts. I just want to make that clear. But we did it, and look, it saved our life.
Well, there you go. Maybe it did.
Because what it told us is, one, Da Nang would be the better place, because whilst it might not be the furthest place from the coast, it's still further than Hoi An, which gives you much more coverage. But what's really good about it is it's a very well built up city that has really good supply chains, hospitals, good roads that don't get closed. It's just a stronger base. Whereas it was advising, don't go too inland, because if it did create devastation, usually the further inland, it's more mountainous, it's more hilly, smaller villages, just the supply chain, the rescue system, and the roads, it's just much easier to get trapped. So Da Nang was like a good in the middle. And then the second thing was like, okay, well, what building? So I know I asked you, like, are there storm ratings of hotels? I would have thought that'd be a thing in a place like this, but we couldn't find it. So then we just reviewed like best district of Da Nang and hotel, and it recommended this exact hotel that we're in.
It did. So I think that it's worked out really well for us. It does feel really safe. What's really cool about the hotel is that the rooms are kind of the room that we're in anyway, is kind of in the middle. So there's like rooms that go on the outside of the square, if you will, but then we're kind of in the central part. And we specifically chose a room that didn't have a window. So we chose almost like a budget room.
An internal room, outer rooms, and we're within the core of the building, yeah.
Yeah, so like we don't have a window to outside. We've got just a window to like the inside, if that makes sense. But we specifically chose that room. And when we arrived at the hotel, they were like, "Oh, we've given you a free upgrade to a bigger room with a nice view." We kind of like, we deliberated very briefly, and they were like, "No, thank you."
It was awkward.
It's the only time I think we've ever turned down a free upgrade in a hotel.
It's probably the only time anyone has turned down a free upgrade.
I think so.
But it's funny. I wish people would see how we deliberate sometimes. Because when Shelby says we deliberated there, you probably thought, okay, we had a quick chat with each other, or we went off for a moment, had a chat. Our deliberation when we don't know what to say is we just stare at each other, like not sure how to answer them, and also like stuck in our own heads, like, well, surely we should take the upgrade, but also no, that's not logical. So we just sort of short out and we just stare at each other like 30 seconds or like a minute. And for us, we know what we're doing. We're kind of stuck in the matrix, whereas people around us or serving us don't get it. So they're just like awkwardly smiling at us like, what are they doing?
And like trying to persuade us, like, it's a bigger room. It's an upgrade. They're not saying it like looking at it as if we thought like we were getting a worse deal.
Yes,
like,
I know.
It's a free upgrade. Bigger room, nice view, big window. In your room currently, no window. Like, great, thank you. Yes, that's what we want. No windows.
Yeah. So she had to literally get back on the computer and change our room back to the original room. And I think that's why the next morning we had a cleaner just walk straight through into our room.
Yeah.
because I think she didn't think there was anyone in this room.
Oh, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes so much sense. Yeah, because she showed, like, the cleaner showed me her clipboard and we were highlighted.
Yeah, because she didn't knock, she just let herself straight in. We were like, whoa,
Yeah,
what the hell? Yeah.
totally. So that was fun.
So we survived Ragasa and
Bualoi.
Bualoi. Thank you, Susie. And again, Shelby is not called Susie, but she is the Susie Dent of the podcast
I am.
for any new listeners. So there we go. We survived the world's strongest typhoon of 2025.
We did. Go was.
Go us, yeah. And they're both gone now, and it's looking okay for now. But to be honest, this area of the world, especially Philippines at the moment, it's typhoon season. So it will not be the last one. Sadly, there is going to be more destruction. Fingers and toes crossed, it doesn't follow us. But yeah, we just got to keep an eye. And we are going to go to the Philippines in November, but should be typhoons over. But we'll keep you updated. Well, I think it's time for Scott's WTF of the week. Every week the world gets a little weirder. Let's talk about the strangest thing that went down this week. Now, I wouldn't say per se this is the strangest thing that went down this week, but it is a strange thing that I've learned. I want to tell the listeners. Now, I also want to preface that. Actually, no, I'll get into it and then I'll tell you what the preface is going to be. So, a study in Japan, a Japanese study, has found that frequent hot water bathing, so having a bath, a warm bath, it may protect heart health. So, in middle-aged and elderly people, so it may protect heart health. Here's some findings. Researchers followed 873 participants, and they discovered bathing 5+ times a week in a warm bath was linked to lower blood pressure and less strain on the heart, and hotter water temperatures were tied to healthier, more flexible arteries. And over time, frequent bathers showed slower progression of artery thickening and reduced cardiac stress markers. Sorry. Which I just think is mind-blowing. Something so simple, it's not a medication. It's not, you have to go and blooming exercise every day. It's a very easily achieved thing, is just wash yourself in a bath, not a shower. Lead researcher
Katsuhiko Kohara.
Thank you, Susie. Noted that immersion in hot water creates effects similar to light exercise, raising body temperature, boosting circulation, lowering vascular resistance. So yeah, I've looked it up. Whilst I did initially learn this on an Instagram post, I did fact check it, and there are studies on it. But this is where I want to sort of emphasize a little bit. What I've said does seem to be very true. There's lots of research on it. There's loads of what do you call them when it's a published? I think a peer-reviewed article. Yeah, there's a lot of published ones, and I'll make sure I put one in the description so you can see. But just be careful on people putting social media posts about them, because a social media post that I read was saying that the stroke rate is almost twice as low as in Europe, and it's more effective than taking pills, which is not backed up by science. So just be careful what you read. So there are research that did back up this, warm bathing regularly in a week does help with your heart.
Wow, very nice. Well, I love a bath, so I'm thrilled to hear that. We are a bathing family, my family.
You are bathers, and mine are opposite. We're showers.
Interesting. Yeah. My whole family, both my parents, my brother, my sister-in-law, the kids are all bathers.
Wow, may as well just all jump in together. No, I wish I could show you a picture of Shelby's mum's bathroom. It is beautiful.
It's gorgeous. It's like a Roman bath.
It feels like you've been transported back in time. It is really nice.
Yeah, it's a really deep bath as well. You float in it if it's full.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really nice. But I've never been big into baths, except for being a child. You get bathed, don't you? But I've always liked.
I'll get you a rubber ducky while you get one.
I do. Well, yeah, I might do. If you get me toys, I probably would be a bit more tempted. And that's very relatable for today, because I won a toy today, and Shelby said, "No, we have to give it to a child," and I was upset.
Well, no. So the reason we went to see a show in Da Nang, it's called Charming Da Nang, and they were throwing out toys into the crowd. But the one that fell down next to us fell from behind, so I think the kid grabbed it and it fell.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Oh.
that's why I said.
Oh, I looked evil then. I grabbed it and put it with my stuff. I was like, yes, I'm gonna die.
Well, so I picked it up and I was like, oh, shall I pass it back? I didn't see who. I didn't want to turn around in case you wanted it, because you're my baby. So, but then as we were leaving, I saw that it was a kid on the road behind us. I was like, oh. I want to give the kid the toy. And he was overjoyed. He bowed to me and said thank you and gave a big smile. So, and what were you going to do with the teddy?
Wow, I could do all sorts, but no, he deserves it. Yeah, I'm happy we made him happy.
Yeah, me too.
There we go.
Well, that's an interesting WTF, darling. I really enjoyed that.
Good.
We'll have to have more baths.
We will. Yeah, it'd be great. Heart health is so important, and cardiac arrest and just cardiac problems it's one of the biggest killers. I think for something so easily achieved, do it on a Sunday if you want to be quick on the weekends. Just get one out on a Sunday, get one out on Saturday, and so there's 2 days. Better than none, isn't it?
I wonder as well what level of the reasoning behind those effects are the fact that it's relaxing. Like there's the benefit of it being hot water, but I reckon that there's also something in it that it's a relaxing activity to do. Like I'll spend an hour and I'll watch a film. I'll sit on my laptop and watch film.
Nice.
Which I don't recommend because the steam would probably not be good for my laptop. But still, I'll literally get a glass of wine and go and get in the bath for an hour. It's great.
Well, yeah, that is the way to do it. But I think that's also why I don't like doing it, because I tend to just want to be efficient. And I can't, but yeah.
My brain went a fish. I just want to be a fish.
I just want to,
and I'll stay in the water.
Well, yeah. I don't want to be a fish, no. But I say that when anyone asks me, what animal would you want to be reincarnated as? It is as an orca.
Oh, there you go.
Or an octopus.
Octopus would be cool.
I think
Very
it would as
intelligent.
well. One of the two.
Yeah, nice. Well, thank you for sharing that, my darling. I guess it's time to take a break from the chaos and hear something to make you smile this week with Shelby's Good Vibes Only. Shelby's Good Vibes Only. Harry Styles of One Direction fame. Scott's looking at me suspiciously.
No, I actually do know Harry Styles, yeah.
Okay. He just ran a sub 3 hour marathon at the Berlin Marathon.
That's impressive.
Isn't it? And it's his second marathon. His debut that we know of was in the Tokyo Marathon in March. So it is believed that he's going for there's that group of...
Yeah, it's for... I'm not sure of the name of it, but I think it's Boston, New York, Japan.
Berlin, London, and something else.
Berlin, London.
I think there's 6. I can't remember. But anyway, so people believe that he's going for that. He shaved half hour off his Tokyo time. He did that in 3.5 hours. And he's running under an alias as well. It's like Stead something or other. Like he's running under a fake name.
Why?
Because if he registers as Harry Styles, then everyone's like, oh my God, Harry Styles.
Okay.
The World Marathon Major. So is it Tokyo, Boston, London, Berlin, Chicago, and New York? So he's done Tokyo and Berlin so far. But yeah, pretty cool that he's doing that. I think very impressive, actually. Like he's out of nowhere started to run marathon. Well, a lot of training will have gone into it, I'm sure. But he's knocked it out of the park, hasn't he?
My guess is he probably has been a runner for a while.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the ways he's always been lean.
Yeah.
So it's probably one of the ways he's always stayed fit.
Yeah.
And he's just got a bit more serious about it recently.
Yeah.
But a sub 3 hour marathon, that's seriously good. There are people that will train the whole life and won't get that.
Yeah, I know.
That is not an easy feat.
And his first half and his second half pacing, there's only a minute in it difference. So like
that's
he's
respectable.
Sustained that consistent pace.
And that's the best way to hit your time. It's what most people struggle with, is a consistent pace. It's the best way to hit your time. People, you know, a lot of people enact like a run walk strategy, or run sprint strategy, or a just I'm going to run fast at the start. So that it just doesn't work. It's better to have a steady pace, but it's also it takes a while to get it down.
Interesting. Well, I thought that was a very Scott coded good vibe only.
Good vibes on, yeah.
But fun facts about Harry Styles. So he was a celebrity crush of mine in years gone by. But I always thought he's too young for me. You know, he's 2 years younger than me. But he's actually older than you. Like, he's 2 months older than you.
Is he? All right. Well, that's funny. Well, there we go.
Isn't that funny?
That is quite funny, actually.
That me as a teenager, or late teen, early 20s, I was like, oh, I can't fancy him, he's too young.
And you didn't like bearded men?
And I didn't, yeah. But that was when I was way younger, though.
You've shocked yourself.
Oh, I ended up with a toy boy bearded man.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Scott is almost exactly 2 years younger than me.
Yeah, and I'm bearded.
And he's bearded.
Well, no, it's lovely. That makes me happy. And he is, I just think, a very wholesome character. So
I do. I think he's lovely. I think he's great.
I like him.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. Well, what an episode. And if you enjoyed that episode, please do give us a like, share. Even better if you can rate us. Honestly, it only takes 30 seconds, if that. Spotify, you just click those stars, click 5, job done. You can do it on Apple, Castbox, wherever you are. We are on most platforms.
We are. Please also follow us on TikTok.
Yeah, please. We put out shorts. We're putting out more now. We just did a great episode with Wells Jones, Hollywood actor, Antarctic explorer, Navy pararescue soldier. What else? Jesus.
Living legend.
Living legend.
Author,
yes. Author of A Line in the Sand. Go buy it now. We put it in the description of our last episode. Honestly, that was such a cool episode.
It was a great episode. It's a lot longer than our usuals, but it's well worth a listen. Really interesting guy. Like, could have talked to him for hours and hours. Easily.
We could have done a 6-hour podcast. But he's great. Yeah, he's great. He's really great. So we're doing lots more shorts, and you can see his as well if you go over to TikTok. But there we go. Another adventure wrapped up.
But the journey never ends.
Keep your bags packed for the next one. And remember, when in doubt, just say, Yalla Habibi. See you next time.